Welcome back to the Bangtan Universe Wormhole. Today's topic is one you might never have considered, or even if you have, we think our deductions will still surprise you. This is a video about a group of students who hung out in the storage room of Songju Jeil High School, but not the group of students including Seokjin and his friends. We're talking about Seokjin's father and his friends, plus one important enemy. And no, I don't mean the cat, even though Mr. Kim did make his own bargains with the cat. This is Karen, and I'm here today to talk to you about the senior friend group. But first, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell so you won't miss out on our newest content. Oh, and one more thing. I don't have many pictures to go with this video, so to make up for the lack of visuals, here's a picture of my cats. Now here's our favorite man kitty to get us started. In year 19, Seokjin was studying the graffiti on the walls of the storage room. Graffiti left by students dating back to who knows how many years. Seokjin's father, Kim Changjun, had attended the school as a teenager, so Seokjin decided to see if his father had left any graffiti. Sure enough, he had. Seokjin found his father's name on a list of students written just above the statement, "Everything started from here." Those words meant nothing to him at the time, but when his friends brought him back to the storage room in year 22, the words and the list of names meant everything. Seokjin's father, Kim Changjun, had been a time traveler just like him. And just like him, Changjun had made a deal with the cat to save his friends. But Changjun gave up in the end, and he lost his soul to the cat. He also betrayed his friends and then intentionally forgot the whole thing. What kind of person was he before he lost everything that mattered? Who were his friends? And who was the mortal enemy who became his ally once the cat took his soul? Let's have a look. Before he met the cat, Seokjin's father was a good-natured, outgoing student. He hung out with his friends in what would eventually become the storage room, although back then it was a music room. And one of them, maybe Changjun, maybe not, wrote "Everything started from here" on the wall. But everything changed in Changjun's senior year. That was when his best friend, Choi Gyuho, went missing. Changjun stopped attending classes to look for Gyuho, but he never found him, and eventually he gave up. Changjun was found collapsed in the music room, and he was never the same afterwards. He didn't return to school until the following year, when he repeated the grade he'd missed. He no longer had any friends, he seemed cold and emotionless, and his eyes were strangely empty. In other words, he looked and acted pretty much like Seokjin did after his second bargain with the cat. Changjun's journal tells us some of what happened. He met the cat and started time traveling during high school, attempting to save his friends from something or other. Then Changjun started looking for the map of the soul, maybe for the same reason Seokjin did. He made a second bargain with the cat when he couldn't find a way to save Namjoon, and in Changjun's case, we think the friend he couldn't save was Choi Gyuho. And just as the cat did with Seokjin, the cat told Changjun to find the map of the soul, and then stole his positive emotions and memories. You already know the rest, except for how Changjun betrayed his friends. I'll make a guess about that in just a minute. First, let's take a look at his high school friends that we know of, and his enemy. We'll start with Choi Gyuho. Here's what we know so far about his disappearance. One night in June, Gyuho received a strange phone call and then told his mother that he had to go to the school to meet a friend. When he didn't come home, the newspapers reported on his story and interviewed his mother. She said he'd looked scared when he left, but she didn't try to stop him. But the newspapers only ran a single story about his disappearance. Then they went quiet. Now, if you think that's weird, you're not alone. Seokjin's friends think the same. They wonder if the story was buried, and they also wonder if Gyuho wasn't found because he went into hiding. Many theorists, including Q and me, think we found him. In two different time loops described in two different books of the notes, Taeyang meets the same stranger, a drunk man in a khaki overcoat, and we get way more detail than necessary about their interactions. The first time around, Taeyang tries to save the man from a beating. The second time around, Taeyang helps him get home. And lo and behold, The man lives very near Taeyong's mother. No wonder so many theorists think this man is Choi Gyuho. But that's just the tip of the Choi iceberg. He probably has or had at least one son and a successful business before turning to isolation, alcohol, and poverty. But that's a complicated story, and it's outside the scope of this video. So we'll make another video about the mysterious Choi family later on. Moving forward, we don't know how many names are written on the wall. The notes just say there are several. And the only name Seokjin's friends recognize, aside from Kim Changjun and Choi Gyuho's, is Hyunsung. Jimin actually knows Hyunsung from his time in the psychiatric ward. Hyunsung voluntarily committed himself while he was in his late teens, saying someone was chasing him. He's been there ever since, but by the time Jimin entered the ward, Hyunsung had begun trying to escape. I'll talk about this in just a second. Jimin had one notable encounter with Woo Hyunsung, which you might remember from Notes 1. Hyunsung was the man who ran into Jimin in the hall, calling him by name and yelling that it all got messed up because of you. We're not sure what got messed up because of Jimin, but it must have to do with time travel, either Changjun's or Seokjin's or both. And it might also have something to do with Jimin's own apparent time travel in the Arboretum when he saw his younger self and comforted him. Who knows how that might have affected the time loops. But here's why Woo Hyunsung wants to escape the psych ward. Probably. He's been watching TV in the patient lounge, and by year 22, Kim Changjun is in the news a lot because of his role in the Songju redevelopment project. Whenever Hyunsung sees Changjun on screen, he tries to reach the TV but then collapses and has a seizure, during which he screams, "Because of him, my soul was wrecked." But when his seizures end, he becomes dead-eyed and emotionless, just like Changjun is, and like Seokjin was for a while. And if anyone asks Hyunsung about his outburst, he doesn't remember it. Notes 2 makes it very obvious that the cat has stolen his soul, just like it stole Changjun's and Seokjin's. And that leads us back to the question of how Changjun betrayed his friends. This is just a theory, but maybe when he gave up trying to find Gyuho, he allowed the cat to take his friends' souls. That could explain why he chose to forget what he'd done. And now think about this. If the cat had succeeded with Seokjin and made him give up trying to save Namjoon, the cat might have stolen the souls of all Seokjin's friends. And now this is future Karen, looping backwards through time to add a clarification to this video. Wrecking the map of someone's soul is not the same thing as stealing someone's soul. The map of the soul is the map of a person's journey through life, including all their successes and failures. Changjun wrecked the map of Hyunsung's soul by forcing him to hide away in a psychiatric ward for years. But then again, Woo Hyunsung's soul was also stolen by the cat. We can tell this from his dead eyes, memory loss, and lack of emotions when he's not being triggered by the sight of Kim Changjun. So this poor guy got a double whammy. And here we have Changjun's high school enemy. You might wonder why I'm including him in this video, but he was a member of the senior group, even if he didn't appear on the list in the storage room. He had extensive dealings with Kim Changjun in their high school years, precisely because they hated each other. And apparently he was involved in Choi Gyuho's disappearance. After Jinmyung became Principal Joe, a newspaper article speculated about his involvement in Choi Gyuho's disappearance. Principal Joe's response was first no comment, and second a lawsuit for libel. What's more, a blog entry referencing the reporter's article was deleted after Joe Jinmyung accused the blogger of defamation. So yeah, teenage Jinmyung definitely had a role in making Choi Gyuho disappear. We don't know what exactly he did, but here's a wild speculation. What if Joe Jinmyung was approached by the cat and he agreed to lure Gyuho to the school that night? He wouldn't have known why the cat wanted Gyuho out of the way, since he wasn't part of Changjun's friend group, but he'd be glad to hurt Changjun. And the cat might have wanted Gyuho gone in order to make Changjun fail in his mission to save his friends. Then he'd give up and give his soul to the cat. Anyway, Principal Joe and Kim Changjun are allies now, apparently for political reasons. But that doesn't explain why they collaborated to force Seokjin into spying on his friends. I'll speculate about that a little later. We don't know how many other people are on Changjun's list, and the notes doesn't give us any more names. But we can make some guesses based on Kim Changjun's current associates. Since his friends' souls were stolen, we'd expect them to be as uncaring and amoral as he is, and probably just as powerful. So let's look at the members of the Songju Foundation, which was established by Changjun supposedly to provide scholarships for students at his alma mater, Munyeon University. That's actually a front for its real purpose, gathering Songju's power players together so they can profit from shady deals with one another. One of those deals is the Songju redevelopment project, which plays a major role in the Notes Book 2. Now, we don't have names for everyone I'm about to list, but I'll bet most or all of their names are on the wall in that storage room. The first and best candidate is the CEO of Seokjin Engineering and Construction. His company is the one which was hired for the Songju redevelopment project in return for kickbacks and other criminal dealings. Since Kim Changjun was such a big part of that project, he might well have suggested Seokjin Engineering himself. The next best candidate is, believe it or not, one of Seokjin's university professors. The BTS Universe game shows this professor at the inaugural Songju Foundation gathering talking to the CEO of Seokjin Engineering. And an entry in the Notes Book 2 describes Seokjin giving his professor documents about the redevelopment project and telling us as readers, quote, "Everyone in Songju City who had any power at all had their hand in the plan." But the final nail in the professor's coffin is a picture at the back of Notes 2. Both books of notes include a picture collage, and if you study those pictures closely, you'll find Easter eggs and hints of things to come. The collage at the end of Notes 2 shows our heroes' phones. Here's a close-up of Seokjin's, with a note about what we see here. Seokjin is taking a class at Munyeon University in Mirai Yongjin Hall. It looks like Mr. Seokjin of Seokjin Engineering donated enough money to Munyeon University to name a hall after one of his family members. And we even get the name of Seokjin's professor, Yu Soo-jong. How much do you want to bet this name is on the list in the storage room? Finally, and very briefly, here are some notes about two other key players in the redevelopment project. First, there's the unnamed mayor of Songju, who helped organize the violent crackdown on the container village. And then there's the head of the redevelopment project himself. Now, if you're surprised that Kim Changjun is at the head, remember this: he doesn't like to get his hands dirty. That's why he has Uncle Junho. But just to be clear, Uncle Junho isn't part of Changjun's high school friend group. He's just an opportunistic creep Changjun met in college. Now that we've gathered all the available information, let's see where it takes us. First, getting back to the names on Changjun's friend list, let me tell you about a theory Q and I have been tossing around. Maybe there were 7 of those boys, just like there are 7 boys in Seokjin's group. And if there were 7 boys in Changjun's group, maybe each of them corresponds to a boy in Seokjin's group. What I mean is, for instance, Changjun is a clear matchup for Seokjin, and maybe we can match Hyunsung with Jimin since they've both been locked away in the same psychiatric ward. Then there's the man in the khaki overcoat. If he really is Choi Gyuho, he might be Taeyoung's match because they met each other twice, and the man lives near Taeyoung's mother. Carrying this idea forward even more, maybe Choi Gyuho has prophetic visions like Taeyoung does. And maybe he had a vision that helped him escape his kidnapping and helped him keep his soul. But right now we don't have enough information to make any more guesses about who connects with whom, so we'd better leave that idea on the back burner. Next, let's discuss something I hinted at earlier, the alliance between Kim Changjun and Principal Joe. It's not hard to imagine Kim Changjun doing favors for the principal, but what could the principal do for Kim Changjun? The answer seems to involve Seokjin spying on his friends, and specifically spying on them in the storage room. But why is that place so important? Well, like the graffiti says, everything started from here. Everything must mean more than just the boys' friendship, because Changjun's journal was hidden in that storage room. And he was found there after he gave up looking for Choi Gyuho. It might even be the place where Changjun met the cat for the first time. Who knows? One thing to keep in mind is that both men have an interest in the room, but Changjun knows a lot more about it than the principal, since the two of them used to be enemies. Changjun never would have let Jinmyung in on his secrets, but Jinmyung could have spied on him. So maybe Principal Joe is interested in the storage room because he knows Changjun got up to something in there and Joe wants to benefit from whatever it is. And maybe Changjun wants his journal back but doesn't know exactly where it is because someone else stole it and hid it. Maybe it was Choi Gyuho. In fact, maybe that's one of the reasons Jinmyung tried to kidnap him, because he knew Choi Gyuho could lead him to the journal. Honestly, Q and I don't have a really solid theory about why Changjun and Jinmyung decided to make an alliance. We have several semi-solid theories. And here's the last one I'll tell you. Maybe Changjun just wants Seokjin to spy on his friends because Changjun betrayed his friends and he's trying to mold Seokjin into a mini-me. He's been pretty obvious about doing that. For instance, he made sure Seokjin would go to Songju Jeil and have to repeat a grade, just like he did. And then he made sure Seokjin enrolled in his own alma mater. And finally, he put Seokjin on the redevelopment committee. But why would a man who can't feel love even care what his son did, or whether he turned out like him? Well, maybe Changjun is still following the cat's orders. It might be part of the cat's attempt to make Seokjin its pawn in erasing the world. But if you're not sold on this idea, don't worry. I'm not sold on it either. Our final theory is much more solid. In fact, I'd actually call it a deduction. And as far as we know, we're the first BU theorists to make it. Think back to Choi Gyuho's disappearance. Not his potential escape and reappearance, but the immediate aftermath of his vanishing. Remember how there was only one news article about him and nothing more? The story seemed to have been buried. But here's the thing. No one among Changjun's friends and classmates, not even the obvious suspect, Jinmyung, had enough pull back then to bury a story. They were all teenagers. One of their parents could have done it, though. And when you think about that, you realize there must have been another generation before what we're calling the senior generation. Other people back in the past must have had dealings with the cat. In fact, there could have been many generations of them. We don't know how long the cat has been at work in Songju. But if we're right about the city being a nexus point and containing a wormhole, then the cat could have manipulated anywhere from 3 to 300 generations. And it expected to reach its endgame with Seokjin. It wanted to erase the earth and possibly steal the souls of all its inhabitants. But Seokjin's friends stole him away from the cat. So just imagine how mad that thing must be. And imagine the revenge it must have in store for our heroes. We've imagined it, and we've put our thoughts into these 2 videos. And now, before I say goodbye, here's one more photo of my cats. The only thing they're mad about is the fact that I don't feed them whenever they want me to. Apo Bangpo.